So today is the first day in 2.5 weeks that I've had a day off from working, which is a little bit ridiculous. I am a type A personality, and sometimes I can develop an unhealthy relationship with productivity. So I caught myself really in a cycle of not making any space for myself or giving myself any headspace or bandwidth to breathe, which is ironically why this episode is about importance of creating space. And that's kind of a big concept, but we're going to talk about it and we're going to break it down. Welcome to Grow with Grace. This is a self-help, spirituality, self-development podcast where it is a safe place where we can grow with grace. I'm currently in the middle of the woods. I'm so happy. I've been wanting to film a podcast outside for so long. Like when I envisioned creating a podcast in my brain, it was me like in a park bench in the middle of nowhere in the woods with like the sky as blue as can be with nature and like a slight breeze, and that's exactly what today is. So I am so excited to be here. This is a lot more serene and grounding than being in my apartment, which does not have a lot of natural light. It's a blessing that my living situation is dark because it forces me to get outside, which is good. And I want to get outside as much as possible before the seasonal depression hits. We're not manifesting that, but it has happened every year. So we're just going to prepare and try to get outside as much as we can and soak up that vitamin D. Anyway, so I felt like I was being pulled in 16 different directions and my limbs were just being stretched to the point where I couldn't breathe or maneuver or think like a rational human being. So I realized that I need to not fill up my free time in my space with distractions and work that's going to deter me from the whole point of this community that I want to build about self-development and mindset, spirituality. I was kind of going against my own morals and I felt it in my soul. All the episodes I do make are definitely based off my own experience and what I'm feeling pulled to create and what is going on in my personal life. My life did a 180 in the past few months. I had all of this extra space in my brain and in my physical life that I did not know what to do with. I started 2 new jobs and kind of redefined a lot of my passions. So a lot of my new time that I had was being allocated to different areas and new passions and sections of my life. However, I wasn't yet adapting to my relationship with my time and space. I digest information the best when it's spelled out to me in an acronym. So proud of myself. I came up with this earlier today. I decided that I wanted to create an acronym for space. What I have discovered is that space allows you to surrender to the universe. It allows you to have peace in your heart. It allows you to align with your desired reality, create your dream life, and experience the unknown. So the main words are surrender, peace, align, create, and experience, which spells out the word space. See how I did that? Crazy. So first off, let's just take a deep breath. We're in nature. If you're not in nature, hear the sounds of the seasons, of the air and the wind. Like life is so beautiful and it's just here for free. Like nature never goes away. It's always here for free. It is the most priceless part of life, is the natural beauty that we are surrounded by, and we don't even see it. We don't see it half the time. I feel bad. There's so many people that are coming to this little lot right here and they see me with my microphone and podcast setup and they're just turning around and leaving. Whoops, sorry. I've claimed this part of the park. Okay, so the first part I want to talk about is that we have to surrender to the universe. And by this I mean releasing the control off of yourself. The reason that you have space in your life is intentional. There is an intention to having space. Once you let go of this control and you let go of this white-knuckled grip you have on life or different areas of your life, the answers and clarity will come. And it's a really beautiful thing. Whether you have no space in your life right now or there is too much space in your life, if you create intentional room and just surrender to the stillness, it's really powerful. I guess surrender can also be stillness or clarity, but it had to be an S, and surrender is just a very powerful word in my opinion. You kind of just have to throw your hands up and let go. Like nothing is more unattractive to trying to people please and can be a control freak. People pleasing and being a control freak is actually a sign of selfishness, which is crazy. but you have to be selfless, and the more that you let go, the more you will receive. There's a meditation I like to do. I either do it by just listening to a certain frequency on Spotify, or there's a certain frequency or like feeling you want to tap into. You can look up the frequency of emotions and then listen to them on Spotify, and then just play that frequency sound as in a loop. I like to do is I like to breathe in for 4, and I repeat the word let in my head as I breathe in. I hold for 4, and then I breathe out and I say the word go. So in through 4, hold for 4, out through 4. And as I'm doing this, I'm breathing in with let and letting go with go. So let, go. It might feel a little bit silly doing this. You can either say it out loud or say it in your head to control more of that breath support, but it has a physical impact on your body doing this meditation. Just do it for about 5 minutes every morning and every night. I know people that do like hour-long meditations, or I've heard of, different kind of meditational gurus that do like hour-long meditations, and I'm just not at that point yet. That would be awesome one day. I'd like to say I don't have the time, or I have the time, but an hour in the morning and an hour at night simply meditating sounds fantastic. But right now, we stick to 5 to 15 minutes of meditation in the morning and at night, because that's the time that I was doom scrolling anyway on TikTok or wherever I was on. So might as well allocate that time to something that you will see results from in the long run. So that let go meditation is really awesome. The next letter of the acronym is P, and I decided that the P should be for peace. Once you slow down your energetic field, you will feel this calmness settle in your heart and your mind and your body. And it's not just a feeling, it's a present. Peace is a gift. And once you receive that gift, you can't unreceive it. You can't give it back. Your life will be changed because you know the definition and the gift and presence of peace. I heard this today in a sermon, and it completely changed my perspective of peace and what that can bring to us. A lot of times I find myself throwing myself into productivity. Some people, when they have more free time, they might want to hang out with friends more, or go shopping, or go out more, or drink more, or just pick something and just throw themselves into it. But even doing an activity like shopping or hanging out with friends, it's not really giving yourself space. Giving yourself space is a spiritual and sacred and individual experience. You're only going to get that peace if you save that for yourself. Universe or God or yourself and your higher self, you're only going to get that level of peace and clarity when you are truly within your own thoughts. And there's something really beautiful about that. It might be scary at first, but I found myself spending all my time working, and I thought that I was giving myself space because a lot of my work I do by myself, but really I was distracting myself all the time, even though I was alone. So it really wasn't helping me, and I thought that it was. And once I came to this realization, I was like, wow, I really have to redefine what it means to be alone and like what it means to give myself space. There was a guy on a e-bike that was just zooming so fast. He just like zipped by. It looks so much fun. There's so many things to look at right now. I'll flip the camera and show y'all what I'm looking at. It's just a big, vast, empty field, and there's a river, and there's trees. It's kind of hot out considering it's September, and it's like the leaves are falling, and it's like crinkle season. I have never, ever used that term. I just came up with that. Crinkle season. That makes a lot of sense for me for some reason. You know how the leaves become crinkly and they crunch and they smell a certain way? It just makes sense, I guess. Okay, moving on. After the P, the A in space signifies align, or allowing yourself to be in alignment with your desired reality. You're not going to align your energetic field and your vision with your desired reality if you're too busy throwing yourself into work or pleasures or friendships or relationships or anything that takes you away from yourself. Being in touch with your body and emotions and envisioning what you truly want is so crucial, because being in that state of flow is alignment. A lot of people are like, I just want to be in a flow state. I want to go with the flow. That is another word for alignment. And so when you reach this state, I think it's so fun. And that kind of leads me to the next part of the acronym. Once you reach alignment, there's a couple that's trying to have a picnic right next to me. I don't think it's going to work. We had to relocate because this older couple sat down right next to me at the picnic table, like literally right next to me while I was talking about like, manifesting your dream reality. And so they're like, we're just going to be here for an hour. But I felt bad and I left. I like to say I can talk about this like with someone sitting right next to me, but that's just not the reality. We're sitting on the grass now, so there might be some interesting elements of nature that just peekaboo into this episode. But that's a part of it. I guess we're grounding, sitting on the grass. There's a lot of hornets circling the premises, but you know what? We're just gonna like let them do their thing and they'll let me do my thing, and that's how we're gonna do the rest of this episode. We are talking about aligning. I want to give an example of what I mean by alignment. When you're in alignment, there is no barrier between your current reality and the one that you want to transcend to, or as people say in a lot of like meditational spiritual videos, quantum leap into. There's not much of a gap between your two realities because you're already aligned with receiving what you want to bring into your life and what your new reality looks like. Once you're in that state of flow and you feel it in your heart, once you already know you're going to get the job offer, once you know you have manifested your soulmate, once you know your bank account is definitely going to have this amount in your checkings by the end of the month, once you truly know it's going to happen, even though you haven't seen it yet, this evolves into creation, which is the C within the word space. There is a quote from a YouTuber. Her name is Danielle, and I think her channel is called Money Making Homemaker. But she said that because you never knocked on the door, it never opened. If you don't even give yourself the space to even believe in the future you want to create, you're never going to see it because you never really knocked on the door. She also said you were saying no before you even wrote down the goal you wanted to manifest. You did not believe in it, so you were already closing that door. If you give yourself space, you're going to knock on the door, multiple doors, and one of them's going to open. Creating the space in your life allows you to create and manifest not just internal feelings and thoughts, but physical things. You will see your extrinsic life reflect your internal thoughts and your internal feelings. The last letter, E, I decided would be the word experience. Experience the unknown. Having space will allow you to fall into the unknown. And for a lot of people, that sounds very scary and it can bring a lot of fear. But my mantra for so long has been faith over fear. Your faith is always greater than your fear. I want to get it tattooed on my wrist in like small fine print. My next episode, I really hope that I get this tattoo because I want it. And yeah, so getting back to the unknown. I think it's called Becoming Supernatural. Yes, there's a book called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, which Joe Dispenza has some crazy meditations out there. He's an amazing spiritual and psychological guru, and a lot of his research is based on science, but it's cool because he is a scientist and very logical, but he tapped into the supernatural, mystical side of manifestation and law of attraction and all of those theologies and kind of combined it with his research, which is kind of a taboo thing to do with a doctor title. So I thought it was really interesting to start reading this, or I guess listening to it. On my way to work, I have about 30 to 40 minutes of time, and I was like, why not delegate that time to learning and educating myself? So I've been listening to this audiobook every morning for the past couple weeks. I think I'm on chapter 3, but it is so fascinating. I think his first book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, but in his book, something that really struck me that he said was that you will never be let down by the unknown. You don't want to create a life that's predictable. You don't want to be boring. And if you're the same person doing the same things, your life will be predictable and you will not change. Leaving space for the unknown to happen and not having every second of your life planned out. I do this sometimes. I literally plan out my life to a T with no breathing room. And then I forget to leave some space for the unknown because that space is what's meant to come through. And if you're not dedicating time to have at least a little bit of space to breathe and give yourself that bandwidth in your life, you're not going to know what the unknown is. And there's something so amazing about that. You have to develop the relationship with the unknown in a faithful way, out of love and not out of fear and uncertainty. Uncertainty should be exciting, especially in your 20s when there's a lot of ups and downs and there's a lot of uncertainty. The unknown, just like in Frozen, Into the Unknown. I'm telling you, Disney movies I love Disney. I do know a lot of facts about Disney, and I appreciate the psychology of it because Disney movies hit so much differently when you're older as opposed to when you're listening and watching them when you're younger. Like, I've cried more from Disney movies when I'm today years old than when I did when I was 10 or 5. You know, like Nemo has really cool colors, and I was always traumatized by the part when the mom got eaten by the shark and the shark ate all the babies. That was traumatizing. They put some traumatizing stuff in those Disney movies. Looking back on it and seeing the message, you know, when you get those moments and you're like, wow, my frontal cortex is working. Like, there's something different that just clicked. That's what I get when I rewatch movies that struck a certain chord in me when I was younger. They always affect me in a whole different way when I'm older. And I think it's so interesting. Why did I talk about Disney movies? What was my rant about Disney movies? Okay, yeah, Into the Unknown. Into the Unknown was a song in Frozen 2, I believe. Frozen 2 was traumatizing as an adult. Like, I cried a lot just because the themes of it hit so much harder, I think, than it would have hit when I was a kid. But there's so much excitement and joy and curiosity in that scene when Elsa sings Into the Unknown. It's like the most exhilarating, vibrant part of the whole movie. And I think that is really telling us that the unknown is the most exciting part of life. If we had it all figured out, then the unknown would just be certain, and that is boring. That's so boring. I know there's a lot of fear and scariness to the uncertainty, but if we can flip that into faith and excitement, we're going to start bouncing around every day and just being excited about what comes next. Okay, there's like a massive amount of children playing football now right in front of me, and I don't want to be hit. So we're going to wrap up this episode. We're going to wrap this up. So surrender, peace, alignment, creation, and experience are the letters within the acronym of SPACE. You need the headspace for space. That's why it's called headspace. If you don't have the space in your head, then you're not going to create. I don't know if you guys can hear these kids, but they sound like little minions. This one kid just waved to me. I waved back. Okay. So this couldn't be going any worse. But we're going to wrap this up. I want to leave you with some questions. I always like to ponder about things that I'm digesting once I'm listening to something. The first question is, what is something that is no longer serving you? Are you delegating a lot of your mental space to a certain relationship, a situation, a train of thought, your workplace, your environment, your passion? If you're delegating a lot of your mental space and physical space to something that is draining you, how can you change that? You don't have to take it out completely, or you can just take it out completely, but however you change that, how can you rearrange and redefine that area of your life so that you can have more space for yourself? The second question I want to leave with you is, when are you going to start? The first step is surrendering. If you follow the steps in this acronym, I promise you will see a difference and there will be a lot of clarity. I'm going to sign off. Thank you all so much. Have a great day and goodbye.